You tell a story in Armageddon about two young sisters. Would you tell that story?
Well, I was profoundly moved by this story because it just seemed to arouse. Sometimes you hear ignorant people who don't know any history saying today, oh, we live in terrible times, Al-Qaeda, the war on terror, all the problems of the 21st century world. I believe it bears saying again and again and again, we're a fantastically privileged generation, that our lives, the problems of our society today are so small alongside the problems that our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents endured. And one story, as you say, these two sisters struck me. When I was writing this book, I had a letter from a woman living in England who said, she said, I'm German, and she said, I was in Germany, in Berlin in 1945, and I kept a diary. Would you like to see it? And she sent me a diary. And it was an extraordinary narrative. She was 17 in 1945. And she described serving in the German Labour Service. And then, April 45, she and her sister were with their parents in their apartment when the Red Army hit Berlin. And Russian soldiers burst into their apartment and raped them again and again. And she wrote in her diary, and I'm still not yet 18. These sisters' mother said to them, your honour is gone, you have nothing left to live for. You must kill yourselves. Their mother took them up on the roof of the apartment building and told them to jump, while their father stood in the street underneath begging with them not to. And these two wretched teenage girls stand there for 10 minutes until finally they burst into tears and ran back into the house and survived. And the woman who wrote to me, she'd gone to Britain as a volunteer farm worker in 1947 and married a British farmer and lived in Britain ever since. But the generation that went through those experiences, nothing that has happened to us. I mean, sometimes people say to me, you were a war correspondent, you've been in the wars of our own times. Nothing that happens to people in the wars of our own times, as soldiers anyway, remotely compares with what our parents and grandparents and so on went through in the Second World War. It was another league of horror.